What if I told you that while America is busy putting up walls, Canada is quietly becoming the most sought-after partner on the planet? Welcome to Global Sketch. Hit that subscribe button right now, because what we're about to break down with real data will completely change how you see the global power shift happening in 2025. Canada's foreign investment surge. Let's start with a number that almost nobody is talking about. Canada is currently attracting foreign direct investment at twice the per capita rate of the United States. Let that sink in. Not slightly more, twice as much. And according to the latest figures, Canada's FDI inflows have hit a 20-year high. We're not talking about a small bump. This is a structural shift in where global capital wants to go. So why is money flooding into Canada right now? 3 words: stability, resources, and trust. In a world where trade agreements can be torn up over a single tweet, investors are pricing in political reliability as a premium asset. Canada has it. Most of the world doesn't. The AirAsia deal and manufacturing power. Here's a story that illustrates exactly what's happening. AirAsia, one of Asia's largest carriers, just placed a massive order: 150 Airbus A220s and 300 aircraft, with production linked directly to Canadian workers in Quebec. This is not a coincidence. This is the result of years of Canada positioning itself as one of the very few nations on Earth that can build a commercial aircraft from scratch, start to finish. Think about that for a moment. Look across the entire G7, the 7 wealthiest democracies on the planet. How many of them can independently manufacture a full commercial aircraft? A complete automobile? A ship? Canada is one of the only answers to all 3 questions. That's not just industrial capacity. That's strategic leverage. The critical minerals equation. Now let's talk about the resource story, because this is where Canada's long-term power becomes undeniable. Critical minerals: lithium, cobalt, nickel, rare earth elements are the oil of the 21st century. Every electric vehicle, every smartphone, every military satellite depends on them, and Canada holds massive reserves of nearly all of them. Among G7 nations, only Canada can simultaneously offer critical minerals and energy in all 3 forms: conventional fossil fuels, renewable energy, and nuclear. That's a combination that no other country in the club can match. When world leaders talk about energy security today, Canada's name keeps coming up, and for good reason. Canada as Europe's transatlantic voice. Here's something that made headlines in financial circles, but barely registered in mainstream news. Canada's finance minister was invited to attend the Eurogroup, the finance ministers of the European Union, as the first ever transatlantic voice at the table. Europe specifically wanted Canada's perspective, not the United States. Canada. Why does this matter? Because it signals a deliberate realignment. European partners are searching for a stable democratic ally who shares their values on multilateralism, trade rules, and institutional cooperation. Canada ticks every box. The IMF itself confirmed that among all G7 countries, Canada holds the strongest fiscal position. It's one of only 2 G7 members with a AAA credit rating. Germany is the other. Growth data versus the G7. Let's put some hard numbers on the board. Canada's GDP growth is currently running at roughly twice the pace of Germany, twice that of Japan, 3 times Italy's, and faster than both the UK and France. In a global environment where most wealthy economies are struggling with stagnation or recession fears, Canada is expanding. And according to the IMF, it has the fiscal headroom to keep investing in infrastructure, housing, productivity, and innovation without blowing up its balance sheet. That fiscal capacity matters enormously right now. When the rest of the world needs to cut spending to stay solvent, Canada can actually step on the accelerator. That's a rare position to be in, and it's attracting attention from every corner of the globe. The trade deal advantage Canada has free trade agreements with all other G7 nations, every single one. That gives Canadian exporters preferential market access to a combined consumer base of approximately 1.5 billion people. No other G7 country has that same web of agreements simultaneously in place. This is the result of decades of patient diplomacy, and it's now paying off in a world where trade routes are being redrawn at speed. And critically, Canada chose not to rush into a hasty deal with the United States during the tariff chaos of 2025. The logic? Certainty that evaporates is worse than no deal at all. Within days of other countries signing agreements with Washington, new tariffs appeared anyway. The strategic patience Canada showed is now looking prescient. The workforce and immigration edge one more data point before we wrap up. Canada currently has the most highly educated workforce of any nation in the OECD, the club of wealthy developed countries. Over 56% of working-age Canadians hold a post-secondary credential. That figure is the highest in the world. And unlike almost every other advanced economy right now, Canada still holds broad public consensus that immigration is a net positive, a view that enriches both its labor force and its cultural dynamism. In an era when demographic decline is dragging down growth in Germany, Japan, South Korea, and Italy, Canada's combination of high education and sustained immigration is a genuine competitive moat. It's not an accident. It's a policy choice that is now compounding into economic advantage. So here's the big picture takeaway from Global Sketch today. The world is undergoing a realignment. Capital's moving. Alliances are shifting. And in the middle of that turbulence, Canada has quietly assembled an extraordinary hand. Fiscal strength, natural resources, manufacturing depth, trade access, and a trusted brand on the world stage. Whether or not you're Canadian, this story matters, because where the world's money and partnerships flow next will shape all of our lives. If this breakdown gave you a new perspective, please subscribe to Global Sketch. We do this kind of data-driven geopolitical analysis every single week. Drop a comment below. Do you think Canada can hold this position, or will the pressure from the United States force a compromise? I want to hear from you. See you in the next one. Global Sketch.